Hey, good afternoon. It's Paul Hoffland. If you would do us a favor, if you enjoy this video, go ahead and click the like button and subscribe to our channel. It would certainly help us out. All right, we're back for another week. Last week, the Fed cut interest rates as we were anticipating. Glad it happened. This week is going to be a big week, though. It's going to test the Fed a little bit with the hopes of more easing. But there's a couple pivotal economic data points that'll be released this week. One of which is the jobs report, which we've talked about the jobs report several times over last few weeks' videos. Pretty important. We're also going to be getting retail sales, and those two things will go a long way towards figuring out if the Fed will continue to ease or if the economy is still a little too hot. Now, the Fed's not going to leave the news anytime soon. Obviously, Jerome Powell is on his way out. His service is up in May. And President Trump certainly has opinions on who the next Fed chair should be. It's looking like, and this is subject to change, but it's looking like it will be Kevin Hassett, who has played pretty nice with Trump so far. On Sunday, he said that policymakers, if he were the chair, would consider President Trump's opinions, but he did make it clear that the Fed would continue to do their duty in remaining independent when it comes to setting rates. So we'll see where this goes in the future. Busy week this week for uh, interest rates, busy week for reporting. We'll see what happens. So if you're somebody over 60 and retiring soon or thinking about retiring soon, one of the acronyms that you'll become intimately familiar with is RMD, or Required Minimum Distribution. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about what RMDs are, why they exist, and maybe a couple of tips on how you might be able to mitigate the taxes on RMDs, or Required Minimum Distributions. So once you're at the age of 73, the IRS is going to require that you start taking money out of your traditional retirement accounts like IRAs, 401ks. Whether you need the income or not is irrelevant. The IRS is in charge here. Now, that withdrawal, it can be detrimental to you because it's treated as taxable income. And depending on what stage in life you're in, that taxable income can be detrimental because it can push you into a higher tax bracket. It can increase your Medicare premiums with IRMA, and it can impact how much of your Social Security is taxable. In addition to all of that, there is a penalty for missing your required minimum distribution. Used to be much steeper, but now the penalty is 25% of the amount that you should have withdrawn. So this is something that isn't really optional. It is certainly required, or you will be penalized. So how do more savvy people overcome the tax burden that comes with a RMD? Well, there's another acronym called a QCD, or Qualified Charitable Distribution. Now, you got to take your RMD when you're 73, which actually could change here in the coming years, maybe 75 soon, but right now it's 73. But when you turn 70 and a half, you can actually execute what's called a Qualified Charitable Distribution, or a QCD. Now, here's a key difference between an RMD and a QCD. A QCD never actually shows up on your tax return as taxable income, which is kind of nice. You can take up to $100,000 a year out of your 401k, IRA, and you can send that to a charity. Now, won't end up in your bank account, but it will not show up as taxable income, and it will satisfy your RMD. So what are the potential benefits of QCD? Well, since it's not increasing your taxable income, it could lower your Medicare premiums or keep them where they are. Could mean that you pay less taxes on Social Security or keep it right where it is. And just overall, may be more tax efficient depending on your situation. So we've talked about the benefits of a qualified charitable distribution or QCD. Let me show it to you in real time. In front of you, you'll see a person that has a $40,000 required minimum distribution. But after talking to his or her advisor, it was determined that the most they can withdraw without increasing their IRMA for Medicare or their Social Security taxes is $30,000. There's kind of a conundrum here. Here's an idea: take $10,000 and send it to charity via a qualified charitable distribution. Take the $30,000, put it in your bank account. Your total withdrawal is still $40,000. So you've satisfied the required minimum distribution, but your total taxable withdrawal is only $30,000 since $10,000 of it went to the charity of your choice. So one of the most common mistakes that we see people make out there is that they try to take their RMD first and then execute a QCD. This is one of those things where the order matters, and that is not the proper order. You do QCD, then you execute your RMD. Thank you so much for joining us this week. Hope you found this to be educational, informative. If you have any questions, anything you'd like to add to the videos, feel free to give me a call at 214-800-4442. We'll see you next week.